What's up, guys? How's it going? I know the last video I put out was a bit of a bummer, and wanted the next one to be a little bit more uplifting, but it's not. So, sorry about that. So, most of you by now, I'm sure, are aware of the events that took place at Astroworld over the weekend, and I just wanted to kind of chime in and put my own opinion out there as far as what went down and the events surrounding it and everything in regards to it. I've been trying to organize my thoughts around what took place at this concert, and it's made me think about all the concerts I've been to in my life. And I've been to a lot, and they varied in terms of the sort of conditions of the crowd at those shows. And one thing that's always kind of stood out to me at every concert I've been to is that it seems that there's always been sort of a communal understanding that the people around you are there for the same purpose. They're there for the show, and no one's there trying to get hurt. There may have been concerts in the past I've been to that people have gone to with the intention of hurting people at. But for the most part, overall, the people that are there for the same goal of just enjoying a show from an artist that they really hold in high favor. And it's easy to take the route of saying that the concerts that I go to, people have the understanding that when someone falls down, you pick them up. But I think that the dynamic in this day and age is slightly different, and I think there's more of a overall vibe of I'm here for the show and I'm here for my good time. I've certainly seen instances where someone has fallen down to the floor and there's people around them that are simply just trying to get out of the way of whatever sort of chaos is going on around them, whether it be a circle pit or whatever the case may be. But I think that there needs to be more of an emphasis on the idea of if you see someone fall down, that you try to help them up, because that could be you. That person on the ground could be you. You never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen at any given moment at a show. And it really made me upset to see the footage of people that see a vehicle coming through the crowd with sirens and flashing lights, clearly an emergency medical vehicle coming through, obviously on their way to go and help somebody, and people deciding that that is the right time to go and climb on top of that vehicle and try to dance for a viral video or whatever the case may be. I don't know. But to me, when you're at a concert, you're there to see who you're going to see, but at the same time, you're part of a communal experience of seeing an artist and experiencing a live performance from that artist. And you should try your best to look out for the people around you, just as common courtesy, as common decency. Like, just be a decent person. I struggle with the idea of just concluding that as being the case in regards to this show, because I don't know what the general scenario of the concert really was. I know what I know from video footage that I've seen, but beyond that, I don't truly know because I wasn't there. If anything, it made me think about when I was a kid and I was begging and pleading with my parents to let me go to Woodstock 99. My mom was like, no, absolutely not. We didn't have the money for tickets and they didn't want to drive me out there. Plus, I didn't have anyone to go with, so I'd be going by myself. So obviously my mom was like, no, you're not going. But she offered me the alternative that we could rent on pay-per-view the live footage from the concert so I could watch it at home. And I was bummed about it at the time. But I remember watching it on request. This is before pay-per-view. And watching what was going down at the concert and thinking, oh, I guess it's a good thing that I wasn't there. because that concert was utter chaos. And the similarity that Woodstock 99 has to Astroworld is the fact that there was more of an emphasis on getting people to the show, not so much on taking care of those people, but more so on just getting them through the doors, getting them there, selling those tickets, getting people out there, because at the time that was the hot ticket. Seeing the fires and then seeing all the allegations that came out afterwards of sexual assault and just the general debauchery that I've seen take place at that concert in the aftermath, whether it be the HBO documentary that was made about Woodstock 99 or whatever else. Looking at all of those things, the only thing I can really think in my mind is that, like, that's not what a concert should be for any individual person that is attending. I remember being a kid and going to Warped Tour and not being able to afford a bottle of water, but they were giving out cans of Red Bull. So I was drinking those and being up against the barricade and like dry heaving from sun poisoning and just general dehydration and thinking, this is awful. But somehow finding a way to look back and think, I'm so glad I went to that show. The thing about that is that I was able to come back from that show and have a retrospective look on it and say, yeah, I had a great time, even though I had those other factors involved. And unfortunately, when it comes to Astroworld, you have people that went to that show with the intention of having a great time that are no longer with us, and that should never be the case. And I've watched videos that talk about concerts like when The Who played and people died trying to get into the show because of crowd crush, as it's referred to, and people just like crushing at the doorways trying to force their way in. And I don't know what's going to change this mentality of like, I have to get to where I want to be. And it happens at every show. Like, I'm sure everyone out there that's watching this video that has ever gone to a concert has been somewhere in a venue or outdoors somewhere where there's a collection of people, or just like one person who is forcing their way through, trying to get to the front of a large group of people so that they can find their ideal spot to be in for the show. I don't know if there's any way to fix that. I mean, aside from just having some general consideration for the people around you. Obviously, in the moment, everyone has the ambition to want to get the best vantage point for the show, to be right where they want to be, right in front of whomever is performing. And it needs to not be that way. Everyone needs to address going out to a live event in a better manner, because clearly it's not serving anyone's benefit anymore. It never was, but now it's really something that needs to be addressed. I struggle to find a definitive place to put blame as far as what went down at Astroworld, because I think that it's multiple factors that are at play in regards to who is at fault for what went down. I think that Travis Scott definitely shares some of the blame for what went down. And there's going to be people that will say that he has no blame in this entire thing because he's on stage, there's all these people in front of him, he's got in-ear monitors, and he's got all this stuff going on, blah, 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 blah. And while he might have in-ear monitors in, he still has eyes. And there's footage that shows that he's aware of there being people getting carried out, either by emergency personnel or by being crowd surfed to emergency personnel by other concert goers. And that should be enough of an indicator to say, hold up, we need to refocus what's going on here. We need to at least put a pause on it. Figure out, is everyone okay? Are we good? And I don't know if that's something that crossed his mind. It would be really easy for me to go into a whole rant about consumerism and just like everyone looking out for themselves and their good time and everything of that nature. But at the same time, I think that it's more than that. I think that Live Nation specifically needs to have more consideration for how they put together live events. Like, if you're going to be hosting live events, you need to be aware of the maximum occupancy of any given space that you're selling tickets for. I think that consideration wasn't there when it came to Astroworld. I think the main objective in their mind was the amount of tickets they could sell without getting in trouble. And like I said, I've been to many concerts in my day. I remember going to New England Death Metal Fest and going to the second stage, the smaller stage, and getting knocked to the concrete ground, getting my elbow smashed into the ground. My elbow's still messed up from that show. But before I could even realize how hurt I was, someone in the crowd had already scooped me up. And I remember thinking in that moment, oh my God, you're my savior. Because it was a very active environment. Everyone's moving around me. It was hot and sweaty and just chaotic. But someone scooped me up, and the first thing out of my mouth was, thank you. And the dude like pat me on the back and was like, I got you, man. And I feel like there needs to be more of that sort of mentality amongst concert goers, because it doesn't seem to be something that is readily present in concerts these days. And I feel weird saying that because, like, I don't think that people intentionally are looking the other way when they see other people on the ground and they're hurt, or just on the ground in general. But I think that most people, when they go to shows, they see things going on around them and they say, wow, this show is crazy. And they don't think beyond that. They just kind of say, oh yeah, no, this show's wild. And especially now when everyone is going to shows and they have their phones up and their main focus is getting a great video that they can then post on to social media later on. I think at the end of the day, the biggest takeaway I can have from something like Astroworld is that just overall, everyone needs to have more consideration for their surroundings, for the people that are at the concert with them, whether it be people that they came to the show with or just the people around them. And just acknowledge the fact that it's something that doesn't need to end in tragedy. It doesn't need to end in news reports about someone losing their life. I can't imagine going to a show and then finding out afterward that someone died. I can't imagine that. That doesn't even make sense in my head, because even when I'm going to a seated venue, like I saw Slipknot at PNC, and I remember being up on the grassy hill and people moshing up there, even though in my head I'm thinking, that's stupid, but still moshing, tumbling down the hill towards the front gate of that area of the venue, and still thinking, I hope they're okay. And if they're having trouble getting up, at least reaching out my hand and grabbing someone and saying, you good? Okay. And patting them on the back and letting them run back out. Because if they're good, keep doing what you're doing. Just overall, you want everyone around you, at least you should want everyone around you at any show that you go to be okay. Whether they be intoxicated or knocked down because of moshing or whatever the case may be. Like, look out for each other. Look out for each other. Be aware of your surroundings. If you're going into a show that looks like it is super packed and that there's no room for, in the case of an emergency, that you can't get out, take that into consideration. I guess I come from kind of a weird vantage point, because as an older person at this point, being 34, when I go to concerts now, I'm definitely of the mindset of like being mindful going into it about like what venue the person I'm going to see is playing at, if there's seats, what the venue itself looks like, things of that nature. Like, I remember going to see Glassjaw at Irving Plaza, and they had no opener, and it was packed to the gills, like definitely beyond capacity, to the point where you could see the steam rising up from the crowd on the projector screen they had in front of the stage before they opened the curtains and whatever. And thinking, this is a little overwhelming. But then once Glassjaw came out, trying to just enjoy the show, be a part of this sort of group experience that's going on. But then I also think about other concerts that I've heard about and I've seen footage from. The concert where Dimebag Darrell got shot and killed. I couldn't imagine being in a venue like that and have something like that go down in front of me. The concert where Great White played, and it's packed to the gills and they have pyrotechnics and it set the entire venue on fire. That's a scenario where if I was there and I'm up at the front barricade, my first thought would be get out of here. But at the same time, if it's packed that tightly with people, am I able to get out? And in that moment, if I was there, I don't know what I would do. And I'm weary about saying anything about this concert and the scenario surrounding all the events that took place, because I don't think anyone went into it with the mindset of like, look out, be aware, have caution, because why would you? It shouldn't be, a concert scenario shouldn't be a place where you have to be weary of your surroundings and think about fire exits and things of that nature. But at the same time, you're in a vicinity full of people, tightly packed, and while you're there for the same intention as everyone else around you, you probably aren't thinking about all the people that are around you and how many of them there are. I don't know. I don't want to point fingers and do all the sort of like, it's so-and-so's fault, this and that, when it comes to this sort of thing, because as concert goers, you shouldn't be put in a position of accountability when it comes to negative things that happen at concerts. But at the same time, I saw that apology video from Travis Scott, and I don't know what this whole like hand over the face thing that he's doing throughout the entire thing is, but the entire thing came off as very insincere. And I feel like at the very least, if you're going to put out an apology video, maybe say you're sorry. Maybe just utter the words, I'm sorry. Again, if I was in his position, I can't imagine how I would react to it in that moment. I don't know what factors went into his overall awareness of his surroundings, but if you learn about these events after the fact, I feel like you should present an apology as best as you can. And I feel like he didn't really do that. I feel like he kind of just like did the bare minimum and was just like, oh man, my bad, but I'm gonna reach out to the families and apologize for their dead kids. Which doesn't really do much for the families. It doesn't do much for the families. It doesn't do much for the other concert goers as far as like offering them some sort of like solace in regards to what they took part in, whether they realize it or not. As an entertainer, I feel like you have the responsibility to put forth a point of view and guidance to the people that are coming out to your shows and say like, yo, we got to look out for each other. We're all here for the same reason. So let's make sure that we all come out of this having a good time, feeling like this was a great experience. And you didn't do that. I'm not really well versed in Travis Scott's music. I don't really know much about him as an artist, but I do know that I've been to concerts where the artists have seen things go down in the crowd and they have stopped the show. They have stopped the show indefinitely. Not briefly for a moment, to then go back into the same activities that led to what previously took place. And at the very least, by doing things in that sort of manner, what you're saying to your audience is that you're looking out for them. You're looking out for their well-being, and you're aware and you're considerate for everyone's safety. And I don't know, like, he didn't do that. He didn't do that. As a parent myself, I can't even fathom the idea of waving my kid off and telling them to have a good time at a concert, to then find out later on that my kid's never coming home again. That is something that I can't picture in my mind, and it pains me to think of other families that are currently going through that experience, because it shouldn't be that way. My first concert that I went to was when I was 9 years old. I went to go see the Rolling Stones at Giant Stadium. The Foo Fighters were the opener, and we didn't have great seats, but everyone around us wanted to make sure that I was good, because I was a 9-year-old. And to hear that there was a 10-year-old that lost their life at this concert, it's unfathomable. I can't even wrap my brain around that. I can't imagine. I wish the best for the people that were injured at the concert. My heart goes out to the friends and family of the people that lost their lives. And I just encourage everyone from this point on, when you go out to shows, be aware of your surroundings, look out for each other. Just, I don't know, like, just do what you can. Do what you can, when you can, while you can. Like, I truly don't even know what to really say in regards to this whole thing, because we went through a year of there being no live music. I'm playing out again now, and I see my friends that are in bands, they're playing out again. And as musicians, we're so grateful to have the privilege to be able to go out and perform in front of a live audience again. And then to have something like this happen, I fear that it's going to cause a deterrent in some people when it comes to going out to shows. And I don't want that to be the case. So, just overall, for the well-being of anyone and everyone, look out for each other. Be thoughtful, be aware, whether it be for yourself or for those around you. And to my friends out there that are in bands, that are performers in general, be aware of the people that are out in your audience, because never mind the fact that they're the ones who bought tickets for your show, also just look out for their well-being. Like, it's easy to say that you get lost in the adrenaline of performing in front of a live audience, but at the same time, you need to be aware of the people that are there for you, and that are catering to your final financial line, whatever it may be, but that are there for a show, and that are not there to get injured, to lose their lives, whatever the scenario may be. And yeah, I just hope that everyone that was in attendance at Astroworld, I hope that you're doing okay, that you're getting the help that you may need in the aftermath of this whole thing. And I hope that this is something that never happens again. Look out for each other, take care of each other, and yeah, that's all I got. I think that's all I got. So I hope you all are doing well. I hope that the next video I put out is a little bit more uplifting, something more positive. But for now, you guys take care of each other, and I'll see you in the next one.